Hello, my name is Charles Moewa, author of this book, Zambia Struggles of My People. I began a journey that I've been laying block and brick after brick. Now, the most important aspect to remember in the history of Zambia, especially when it concerns independence, is the Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland. Probably if you've been listening to me in the last episodes, you've seen my ardent emphasis on that organization or that animal. I call it an animal because it had the power to change anything, and it has changed everything for Zambians. Zambians currently are considered to be among the poorest people on earth. In other words, Zambia itself is one of the poorest countries in Africa. But all the discussions about Zambia's poverty and struggles are weaned from this organism called the Federation, and all the blames are heaped upon the leaders of Zambia, for example, and the foremost, and of course on the people of Zambia themselves. I have done history about Zambia in and out, and I've found that Zambians are among the most hardworking people. The culture in Zambia works for diligence. There's no laziness among Zambians. They do everything they can. But why is it that year after year, in these 60 years of independence, Zambians have failed to move an inch towards a stabilized economic system? The genesis of all that is in the Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland. Those of you who may argue against me that the blame is too much or far-sighted, you may also be wrong. Because as I'll be telling you, Zambia did not start as many countries start, managing its own resources. Zambia started poor ab initio. From the word go, Zambia was poor. Because at the end of the Federation 1963, Rhodesia, which comprised mostly British whites, had taken all the assets of the country. Just imagine this time someone comes to a land which has already its structures in place and leaves nothing but takes all its resources. In the quagmire of nationalism as well as modern national building, that is a disservice to those people, because they will have to start from borrowing. Borrowing would be the first action of any government that would take over Zambia. Ask Kaunda. They had to do with going back to the very former colonial masters to ask them for money. Basically, these people take all the money out of Zambia and then require Zambia to go back and ask them to give them sort of investments. Now, those investments always came with strings attached. That meant that the entire land will be used as collateral, basically. The entire mines, the entire economic setup will be used as collateral. So you have gained political independence, and yet you become economically dependent. That's exactly what happened in the land called Zambia. Why? Let's go back to the Moncton Commission that I've already discussed in the past few episodes. The Moncton Commission, as they met in England, was meant to find the solution to the Federation. Now, when MacLeod had wanted to supervise this, the Moncton Commission came up with 12 recommendations. Now, I'm going to go through those 12 recommendations in the little time that I have, so that you can understand how fought the whites were for these lands, so that they could forever occupy them. And the blacks of Africa, the Zambians in particular, would not have anything they would call theirs. Or if they did have something they call theirs, it would be on paper only. In actuality, Britain and the British settlers in the region would control everything. Indirectly, they would control the economy. Indirectly, they will control the politics, I beg your pardon, but directly they will control the economy. That's exactly what happened. And it's happening right now. Zambia began as a company state, And companies from abroad have not ceased to control Zambia up to now. The rule of the people in Zambia will take many years to start gaining momentum. Now let's go to the Moncton Commission, and the report had 12 recommendations. The first recommendation was the allotment of a higher proportion of seats to the Africans who occupied 12 out of 59 seats in the Federal Assembly. 12. The people were a majority in 90% of the land, controlled 12 seats out of 59 seats. That's how bad the federal government was. That's how bad the federation was. Now, I had alluded a little bit to the demands by some Africans, even in our modern prefectures, to be able to acquire as much land in their own countries more than the foreigners. I live in the West. I should agree with anybody who comes up with that hypothesis that here in the West, the owners, the locals, the citizens are given more land rights than the foreigners. In fact, in countries where I live, like Canada, to acquire a house, to buy a house in this land, especially in Ontario province, as a foreigner, it's becoming very difficult because the Ontario government, like many sane governments, are realizing that if you empower your people first, they will develop the land, and then foreigners can come and trade and leave the necessary foreign exchange as well as income generated from trade. So this was the first difficulty. It's they say they allot land. Higher proportion of seats to the Africans, occupy 12. That is a good one. But that one will still not lead to independence, isn't it? But it was a good principle to think about. I will build on this one so we can see the other 11 recommendations of the Moncton Commission. Thank you. Bye for now.